Hello and welcome. Patrick and I are back again with the Queery Helpline, where we revise other people's queries because it's so much easier than our own, and or pages, first pages, and or synopses, while raising money for reproductive rights because abortion is healthcare.
Abortions. I have something to share aside from the fact that I'm actually not, in fact, dying.
Are you
So
sure?
I have 3 kids, and so I'm not dying. I'm just tired. So Alabama, which is never a good word to use in a sentence about abortion. Alabama jails woman for endangering her fetus. She wasn't pregnant. She was not pregnant. So here's a funny thing. There are states that have really shitty laws about being pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's most of them, in fact, because any law that limits you when you're pregnant is kind of stupid. Because it's being enforced by not doctors, but cops. And in fact, I looked this up, in fact. To become a cop in Birmingham, Alabama, you do not need you don't need even a high school education. You need a GED and 36 weeks of training, including on-the-job training. To become a doctor in Alabama, you need a high school diploma, 4-year college, 4-year medical school, and 3 months for a license. That's a lot more.
To become a nurse.
And that's just general doctoring. That's not obstetrics. That's not ICU. That's not labor and delivery. That's just to see patients at all. So the notion that in your GED work and your 36 weeks of cop training, which is heavily focused on what is the law and can I drag a body, you're going to learn enough to accurately be able to say how a law should be applied to pregnant women is horseshit. Okay, so number one, no cop should be enforcing. I really sound terrible. Wow, I feel fine. I took 2 hours of naps. I feel fine. Anyway, let's just start with that. Okay, cops should not be enforcing this thing.
No. A nurse requires 2 full years to get an associate's degree, and yet police are put in there with so little training.
And police should not be enforcing anything. This law says you can't be pregnant and also be on drugs. You shouldn't. What you should be ingesting. The two people should be involved in this. Doctor, patient. A cop is neither. At most, the cop is the pregnant person. In which case, again, doctor. So already that law should not exist, because doctors should be the ones monitoring this stuff.
Patients should be making the decision with the help of their doctor.
Yes, because what's one thing that cannabis, for example, can guard against? Morning sickness, which is so bad that people have to be hospitalized with that stuff, right?
Just because it's natural and normal and humans have been doing it for all of history doesn't mean that until the advent of modern medicine, it wasn't fatal a large percentage of the time. And medical intervention and what it does to the body is a huge toll.
Oh yeah, you've got a parasite. Medically, that is a parasite.
Yeah.
And it kills people.
Yeah.
So anyway,
you cannot be medically or legally required to donate blood if someone next to you is dying. And this is, letting a parasite use your body for 9 months and then rip their way out of you.
Yeah, when the wife was pregnant with our first, it was, first of all, it's not morning sickness, it's when you wake up sickness. And it's when you wake up vomiting.
It can not
I feel bad, but vomiting. Vomiting. Because I think the softness of the term is so disgusting. We would wake up. My work history 3. We would wake up. She would eat whatever, and instantly.
Yeah.
There wasn't even.
Yeah, my sister said she found the only thing that really helped was keeping saltines so she never got hungry and had something bland in her stomach, because an
It's
empty
different for
stomach,
everybody,
ugh.
and I
Yeah,
love when people find a solution, but like we tried a
yeah.
lot of foods.
We're not
At
there
one
yet.
point, we thought we had narrowed down to strong scents.
Mhm.
Broccoli smells like nothing. Egg smells like nothing, and every time for 3 months solid, and then one day just sort of I think it eventually lit up. But the thing is, again, doctors are there for that. Cops, that's not the job. And honestly, you there's enough awful shit to do without having to learn how to take care of a pregnant person. If you're a cop, there's enough. There's enough. But it gets worse. Okay, this stuff. The notion is that they're protecting people, right? There is a lot of research on how cannabis affects people. And a lot of it's hard to do because cannabis is not allowed for much of anybody. And any one study can't find any one thing. I looked a lot of stuff about this. Cannabis doesn't impair cognitive development. There is no research that has been repeated that has shown this. There is a link in some studies between cannabis and fetal mortality, but guess what? Depending on the science of it, um, between 20% and 50% of all pregnancies end in miscarriage, and that's the ones we know of. Okay, so 50% is nature itself. Cannabis being maybe-ish is not a reason. Um, and again, um, the the fact that it can help address the vomiting from morning sickness is pretty huge. Um, so let's propose that there is slim to zero reason to limit cannabis in pregnancy. The
Other
further
than
problem with it,
politics.
which shouldn't be an issue anyway, ever. The further problem with this, the woman who was arrested for using cannabis while pregnant wasn't pregnant.
Yeah.
She wasn't even tested.
Yeah, the notion of a woman between the ages of 16 and 45 being considered pre-pregnant 24/7 is beyond the pale. It infantilizes an entire, all people with uteri. Uterus.
And the investigators witnessed for this woman being pregnant, a kid. Now, I have 3 of these. Let me be the first person to tell you, kids say lots of things they outright mean, and many of them are true, and the rest of them are it's things they want to be true. Like if you talk to them about their Christmas plans, they'll talk about things they want to do, like they're actually happening. And sometimes they're telling the truth, but for someone was jailed because a kid said she was pregnant. Jail because she wasn't tested at any point. Here's where this gets
What's
worse.
next? Jailing people for ordering caffeine?
It gets worse though.
Or eating lunch meat?
The interesting thing here, the ban on people doing whatever while pregnant is a ban on 2 things: having fun and then making their own decisions medically. And this goes back to something that's hundreds of years old, which is, I'm quoting here from the Lancet, the dogged persistence of the search for symmetry between personal characteristics and health reflects this meta-narrative. A century ago, yes, dear.
Charlotte said she would put me in slavery.
She will not, honey. All right? I love have to. There is this idea that if you simply live a good life, you will not get sick. And this is trash. The notion people, okay, first of all, miscarriages are in some cases death, okay? Actual human death. Fetuses do not have, there isn't enough to do in there to do wrong. You can't be a bad fetus. So already, being good or bad Has nothing to do with anything. But this notion that virtuous people aren't going to get morning sickness, aren't going to need cannabis to do, aren't going to treat a condition, has no basis in science. So this is magical thinking that is hurting people. Also,
it's the if I follow the rules, I'll be safe. Which unfortunately,
lupus doesn't care what rules you follow. It just, I mean, I had a friend who had lupus. She was my introduction to the thinking that I was given on abortion being horseshit, because it's not based in science. But anti-cannabis prescriptions are based in specifically Mexican bias, because Mexicans coming into the U.S. in 1910 after the Mexican Revolution fueled this anti-Mexican fervor. It was partly xenophobia and partly other stuff. So in supporting a cannabis prescription, you are being hardcore racist. This goes back more than a century. But my big takeaway from this, being pregnant is hard. I've been through it 3 times with the wife. I've been aware of it other times with other people. We don't need to make it harder. The people who should be dealing with this are called doctors. They are not called cops. They will never be called cops because cops have no fucking clue. Again,
cops have a different job.
Yes, they do. I looked it up.
It's to serve.
Protect. It's like there are specific things you have to go drag a body. You have to be able to, learn laws. Let's pretend they do. This has nothing to do with monitoring a patient. That's not the job. There are actual things I want someone with a gun to do. It's called use the gun when you need to. It's not called monitor a maybe actually not pregnant woman for cannabis use. There is no function there. You might as well be monitoring a stuffed animal. There's nothing there. But why are we trying to make anything more difficult for someone who's pregnant? Why are you trying to find ways to make that harder? You just sit there shits. Stop it. Leave them alone. They did nothing. It's okay. Now, Dana, hi. I sound like I'm dying. I'm actually not dying. I'm very, very alive.
Good. Your voice sounds a little hoarse.
Yes. I don't think that's going to be fixed tonight. My kids have hidden my water. I don't know. I had it here. They like to run off with it because they think it's there. We empower their decisions. And that is a life choice that I've been regretting every second of my life. And, I have a 32-ounce tankard of water. I don't know where it is. And that's irritating. But I can edit just fine. So you all get to listen to me sounding like death. Because I sound weird even to myself. I probably sound weirder to you. I've perfectly fine. I have more energy now than I did when I started, as Morgan can verify, because I sound way more energized now. So let's destroy your query, he said lovingly. That's the one. He said lovingly. All right. I need this document, don't I? Do I have this document?
Now, thank you so much for sharing your query and your first page with us, Dana. I'm going to go ahead and do Patrick's favorite part of the entire process.
Oh, this is the part where I stopped tuning in.
And I'm going to read it aloud for those of you who may be listening from home instead of watching.
I got to get the document.
I'm just going to mute him while he mumbles. So, dear agent, celebrating queer love, body positivity, and coffee, Rainbow Lattes is an 800-word dual point of view contemporary romance set in lush, evergreen Seattle. It will appeal to fans of the humor plus heart in Ashley Herring Blake's Delilah Green Doesn't Care and Ruby Barrett's The Romance Recipe. Free-spirited Charlie, 27, divorces her childhood sweetheart, then funnels her broken-hearted energy into saving her sinking coffee shop. Miscalculations and fluctuating costs push her to the brink of financial ruin, and if she doesn't pay her creditors in 3 months, she'll lose everything again. 26-year-old best-selling crime novelist Mac hasn't been able to write a word since her debut novel became a surprise bestseller. Crushed under writer's block, she escaped New York City and seeks refuge in Seattle's serenity. After she discovers a quaint residential coffee shop, she meets Charlie, a beautiful, curvy, sharp-tongued barista. For the first time, Mac has a muse. Instead of focusing on daily debt collection calls, Charlie distracts herself with Mac's sexy as hell Brooklyn accent and flattering curiosity into her life. Despite her reservations, Charlie must decide if her recently mended heart can sustain a fresh crack. Meanwhile, Mac's publisher threatens to rescind her advance if she doesn't deliver by next month, so she uses Charlie's private stories to inspire her manuscript. As Mac digs into Charlie's past, she falls in love and is consumed by guilt. With her deadline looming, she must either surrender her muse for the truth or give up her career for love.
You have a great voice. Oh my God.
Thank you.
So there we are. I'm unmuted now. She actually does this.
She's so stressed out by the pressure. And, oh my God, that's so.
Okay.
Oh. It's so realistic. Although, can they rescind advances, or just she's not going to get the next section of the advance?
So I did research on this, and they technically can rescind it.
Oh,
now, I don't know if that actually has ever happened, but technically they can.
Well, it doesn't need to have happened. It needs to be scary and believable.
Oh yeah. I just
so my first thing here, as I resume not sounding like Barry White, which is just
do it.
So we have the same plot element being used twice. And as you know, I think you know this, agents have gone from wanting only the title and the author to knowing what about the book matters. So for us to reuse this, you might not need both of them, and they might not both help you. I don't know if you want to delete them because I don't know enough about that aspect of things.
Could she split it with the humor of this and the heart of the other?
I mean, I don't know the book, so I don't know.
I can definitely pick out plot elements from both that are unique.
Okay.
I was trying to shorten word count.
Okay. No, shortening is my job, honey. He said lovingly. No, don't worry about. You don't need to cut. See, if you're removing specifics, right?
You've got wiggle room. Without your bio section, you're still only at almost 250.
Okay.
Well, don't even count that top paragraph. Is the pitch being 2 to 250? You're 200. You're fine. You're fine. And again,
you don't have to trim.
We don't need lack of specifics in an area where we specifically need to have specifics. So.
Morgan, we don't have to trim because Patrick already spent an hour on this with me.
Okay.
I did. I spent an hour just
it is
on the side. He gave me an hour of this time.
It is.
Well, I had an hour left.
You've been through the guidelines.
Things and it yes. And this was the thing. I'm gonna flag this again because I'm still not sure I want this. Because you saw the decentering thing that I did, right? You said you saw it. You read it, right? Once?
Yeah, I don't think I could comprehend it very well. Like I read it and then I read it again, but sometimes it takes me a while.
See, things make sense to me in my head. And then I come back to them a day later and I'm like, okay, I need to keep 3 of those words, but the rest of that paragraph, let's explain it to a human who's not me understands what I'm saying. Which is the value of because this process, things make sense because you wrote them, not because they actually make sense. And I came back to my first chapter after almost 3 weeks away from it. And I happened to look over at page 5 and I'm like, I know what I meant there, but that doesn't read like it at all. So I changed 3 words and I think it's okay now. But that's why distance helps with this. And even especially with a query, it's hard. You don't want to do it yourself. It's like surgery on yourself. It's a really bad idea. Fortunately, with a query, it's much less fatal. But if you see that house episode where it operates on itself, there's a reason that even the best surgeons should not do that, ever. It's a bad idea. Okay, so this is not a positive ever in life. I don't know who teaches these things, but this is not a positive. This is like saying, Mother Dana. You wouldn't use commas there. You know, these comments here. This functions as the comments are in a positive, but it can't be one. That's not how this works. Anyway, you did it again. He said lovingly. Okay. What's the most recent noun?
What's the most recent? Crushed?
Before this modifier, what's the most recent noun?
Escapes? Or sorry, wait, I'm sorry.
No.
I had the hell.
Morgan knows her nouns.
The noun, block, writers. Sorry, I don't know.
The answer. I'm sorry, it's not you.
Yeah,
it is.
It's bestseller.
Yeah.
Or debut novel, right? Neither of these things are crushed in the writer's block. So we could even go, if we wanted to, and I'm not sure we want to do this yet, we could parallel the decentering with writer's block as crushing her. But I'm not sure we want to go there yet. I'm going to make it myself a note. Because if we want to do that, then we can mirror it. Otherwise, I would not. Because, again, you want to focus on the character. The basic thing with decentering that you need to understand from that, and you put a long look at me writing article, look at me, I can do things, is you want to center the action of the character, which means subject is always the character, unless the thing doing the acting on the character is that big. In writing fiction, you will often center things on non-sentient entities, such as rain, such as clouds, such as leaves, such as whatever else, because you are focusing, rain pelting the thing, leaves fell onto the thing. All these things are fine in fiction writing.
But and beautiful poetry.
Moving right along. But you can't give agency to stuff like that in a query because you're suggesting that that thing is that important overall. And in a fantasy, it just ain't. You're muted, by the way, Dana. Unless you did you
did that because my kids were coming in the door.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Hell,
Joy, that one.
That would yes, that must be the almost 4-letter word there. Okay. Should we be scooting past the discovery of the great residential coffee shop or not? I don't see a reason for it to. So, and beginning of the sentence is a bad idea.
I wanted to switch after to there, but okay.
That's
okay. As long as the where's in there, that works.
Okay. I'm not sure about that. Okay, I'm gonna put this as she, and I haven't really thought about changing it back and forth because I like the focus of she.
But the last she that was referenced was Charlie.
That's why I think we're gonna keep going back and forth. But I like the she pounding there.
Yeah.
That sounds so weird. Okay. Here's okay. This is bad. We can't be affected by something if we don't know what's happening. So we can't go instead of blah blah this dramatic thing. We have to establish it and then have her ignore it, right? It's like right now, imagine if you can this ludicrous thing, my kid annoying me. Imagine right now one of my kids was annoying me. You wouldn't know that I'm doing this while dealing with that, right? But if I tell you that suddenly the fact that I'm not screaming obscenities is so much more impressive, right? So we need to make this, right? Ooh, okay, is it, okay. I have an idea, and it doesn't involve screaming at my kids for not shutting up. So we can go center in the first paragraph with the miscalculation fluctuating costs, decentering on the writer's block with Mac in the next paragraph, and then we can decenter in the third paragraph with both the collection calls, which continues the cost of miscalculation plot element, and the publisher threatening, which continues the writer's block thread.
I love a good symmetry or echoing of,
Yes.
sentence patterns.
Parallel structure is, or concepts at least. Yeah, it's agents like them because you can't have plot elements die. That's just not drama. Like, it's okay. What happened to the fact that she's obsessed with squid? Like, where I need my squid. Where did my squid go?
I mean, squid are pretty awesome. So, I wrote a whole space fantasy about sentient octopus people. So, I think my feelings on squid are pretty firmly established.
Yeah. Okay. That made sense. Okay, and okay. The verbing on thing is concept language. It's something that isn't distracting yourself, but it's too. Distracting is too light a verb, I think, unless that's the book. But if we get something that gives it more importance than distracting, that'd be good.
Is she too hung up on Mac's sexy as hell Brooklyn accent?
I think so. The story, she's like avoiding all of her responsibilities.
Oh yeah, no, obviously.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure out what the verbing is.
Oh.
Concept language again. Okay.
Okay.
Why do you do this to me? What's wrong here?
Despite her reservations, that shouldn't be at the beginning.
Well, so whose reservations, and can we use? And can you guess the word I'm going to use here?
Decentering?
No.
Verbing?
A verb! She gets it! She gets it! Can we use?
So what's the noun that goes with the verb?
And
Charlie, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe she.
Because we just had hits of Mac's accent and flattering questions about her life. Mm-hmm. She isn't sure something. We still have this mustache. Dana, is this the steak sentence or not?
I thought it was. And
we
then
had
we
an issue with this last time, Dana, didn't we?
We did, but there were brackets around it, and I didn't know if that meant to remove it or keep it. If I remember correctly.
Okay, so is this the steak sentence yet for Mac?
Oh, Charlie, is it a steak for Charlie? I wasn't sure. No, I guess not.
No, it's not.
I don't see anything later that would be Charlie's steak sentence, though.
Oh, steak. I thought you said safe.
Oh, no, steak.
So this is Charlie's steak. Basically, can she trust enough?
Okay. Yeah. All right.
She's scared to love again.
So is that okay? Does that have to be the stakes for her? Because we haven't done much about her broken heart. we've shown her, in fact, not caring about it by funneling that energy into her coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
Which
don't-
to me isn't obsessing over a broken heart.
It sounds like me binge reading for a week because I don't want to deal with the other thing.
So we have the fluctuating costs, right? We have her focus on her coffee shop, right? We have her divorcing the sweetheart and funneling that energy into the coffee shop. We have coffee shop, we have coffee shop, we have coffee shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Mac helping her ignore the coffee shop. But that's still not a sense of a broken heart or a mending heart. So if we need to build that into the query, that's something we can do. We have space. That first paragraph is tiny. All that first sentence in there is about as long as it should get, honestly. But we have room.
We could maybe put something like she doesn't have time for love because she's got to pay back the creditors.
No, we can't. Okay, concept-wise, no, because the stakes aren't. Does she have time for it? Can she trust again?
I will say, quite a bit of the beginning of the book does talk about how heartbroken she was, and she just recently got over her divorce. It took her years. She's finally in a spot where her heart has mended, so she doesn't want to trust again. She can't trust again.
Okay, so put that, if that's the stakes, put it in the first paragraph.
So maybe
Morgan Henry. Go ahead, Morgan.
Has spent the last 5 years funneling her broken heart, or 3 years, or whatever it is.
See, we can't have funneling anything because that turns it into something functional. We have to show brokenness, and funneling means I'm using it, right? If I'm channeling this energy into something, I'm using it. I'm comfortable. No?
So maybe channel's not, she is.
Morgan looks like I have something very wrong with my heart.
No, I'm just.
And you do know lots of nouns. That is your thing.
I know. I'm just, she's focusing on the things she can control,
Yes, I am familiar with control. Thank you. But if she's funneling into something, she doesn't need to mend it. She's using it, right?
Yeah. But I think we do need
maybe ignoring her broken heart and funneling her energy into saving her sinking coffee shop.
I like that, ignoring her broken heart.
Yeah, then do it. Put it in the query.
Okay.
It's your query. I'm just here to put all over.
You guys are the experts, so I really want to listen.
Yeah, but you know the book, right?
Yeah.
See, right now we have a focus on saving a coffee shop and debt and all this, and then her stake sentence is, "Can't she love again?" Ah, which is broken, but we can fix it.
Okay.
That's gonna. And then we need specifics in the questions about her life that hint at the reason she would need to use her heart again.
Is that a question? Like, should I answer that, or are you thinking? Sorry, or are you just saying?
I don't see anything. I mean, in the physical, in the actual document, yes. Usually that means actually yes.
There's nothing in that final paragraph that has us saving the coffee shop. Does she lose it? I don't know.
So, I mean, I can tell you what happens.
That's a fun thing, isn't it?
She does save her coffee shop, but
does Mac help?
Mac helps. Yeah, in multiple Mac's family helps, and then Mac's social media following helps.
So the problem here is you need to have the stakes happening in the same area in the query, and instead of doing that, we get all this, right? Stuff that isn't stakes. So we need to put it not but before Charlie's stakes, which is the problem before we just ran out of time. So we need to weave it in. I think I see where. Okay. Let's just see. Why are you bolded? You should not be bolded. Does she fall in love or do they fall in love?
They do. They mutually fall in love.
Okay. Whoa, hold on. Okay, if they fall in love, how is Charlie deciding whether to risk cracking her heart?
She is deciding if it's worth it
to go all in.
So
go all in.
But okay, so if she's falling in love, if you are falling in love, have you decided to go all in?
Sometimes you don't trust the feeling and it makes you want to run.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
So that is what she battles with. Is there a lot of chapters are like, no, we're just friends. I can't do this.
Last time I felt like this, it came back and bit me in the ass.
Last time I trusted someone, it
broke.
broke.
Yeah, I am. Anyway,
rip, shred.
Okay. Okay. Give me a second to figure this out. That's concept language. I know it's wrong. It doesn't know what happens. Okay. The problem with that, we don't see her needing the money. So her losing the advance is bad, but not, I have to stop coming here bad. So we need to either give her a reason to need the money or give another publisher thing to lose. Make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, since it's my story, I could say they drop her as a client. I could say part of the story with Mac too is she has a lot of self-doubt and self-esteem issues, and this is the only
a writer having doubt, that's really not credible, Dana.
right? So this is the only thing she's ever felt good at, that she's ever accomplished. And so the fear of losing that, like that validity.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I don't know how to articulate that.
Well, then use the words you just used.
I don't even know what I said. It's like if I don't think.
Rewind.
Losing the validity, like her validity.
Okay, drop. Okay, so, okay, oh, I have an idea. Yes? It pushed the lotion on its skin.
It was like really goopy. I put myself on mute.
Whatever. Morgan muted herself.
Yep, I'm back.
I'm still here.
Hooray.
I may have been talking to my cats, and I know you're not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just.
Catechus says hi, and why did Mama put a brass gate between him and the delicious tree that he would really like to climb and chew on the electrical lights and maybe swallow some glass? If it was just the ornaments or the climbing, that would be one thing, but he has a fondness for wires and lights. So I'm really hoping that the fence works. Otherwise, I'm going to have to put the tree in the sunroom again and close the door off. So A, he can't go in there. And B, I feel like the child outside the happy house, peering through the window at the Christmas tree, feeling all sad and cut off. And, right? So I'm really hoping the fence works. Next up is the bitter spray stuff.
Oh, that's good stuff.
So. Mac is so understandable.
She's me. She's a lot me.
She's at 48,000 words and she needs to get to 75,000. And oh my God, the story's not filling out.
I do the word count throughout the book. Like she's at 30, she's at 8, she's at yeah.
She needs a side quest. And oh my God, Charlie's story is so
captivating.
What was that writer friend story that went around the internet?
I don't know.
Oh, Bad Art Friend. That's what it was.
Bad Art Friend.
Oh, yeah. It's a true story about somebody who took what they knew of a friend of a friend and put it in their story that went viral, and the person felt very violated.
Oh, I'm actually going to read that. That's perfect. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty topical. I think it blew up about a year ago, but it's, especially in the social media age, something that's happening more and more. It's an extension almost of catfishing, where you use somebody else's face, but it's, details from their life in your stories. And so.
Oh, Dana, can you accept and reject, because we're at critical mass on green? It's good on my screen anyway.
So I should go into Google Docs and accept?
Yes.
Accept and reject everything, because this is like more me than you. And
it's a little pink.
What you had on me, I do.
I'm just.
It's great if you just everything. past accept, which would be nice. I just go, okay, it's great. Change everything, accept it all because I said so. I'm gonna toss this so much. I'm going like that as a concept.
There you go.
All right. This is now 2:30s, maybe? Not that bad. 2:25. Okay. That's tolerable. We need still this. Insert romance words, please. No pressure.
So I want to read the sentence. Debt collectors are calling Charlie daily, but she's too busy obsessing over Mac's sexy as hell Brooklyn accent and flattering questions about her life, including, are we talking about what questions she's asking her?
Yes. So it's not how anybody could want to divorce her or something, that, or how amazingly lovely she is. Ideally, it includes a verb, which I know, shocker.
Shocked.
Well, it's so easy to go some nouny crap.
Like started flirting or her something like, is that what you mean? Including her
I think he means literally like including how anyone would be stupid enough to lose such an amazing woman as she is.
Yeah, without the modifiers, yes.
Fewer words.
Yes,
okay.
Without the modifiers. Please. I beg of you. Please.
And we can't just use flattering.
What?
Like just, oh no, I already used flattering. I don't know. I might have to think on this one.
That's fine. But here's the thing that you should do.
Okay.
Although you are in almost the best place to have trash language because this is in the middle, and the middle is forgettable, very forgettable. Your middle inquiry only has to really exist and be not terrible. Your beginning has to be strong, your ending has to be strong. But all I ever do with the middle is make sure it flows and makes sense. It's not nobody will remember your middle. It just because science is what it is there. Funnels, right? We were going to change that. Ignores his content language for some verb that indicates she's not prioritizing it. But we can't have the oopsie broken heart be something that's actually okay at the end if we're funneling it. So that. Is this a different color? Or are my eyes just really that bad right now?
It does look a little more magenta than it did before, but
No, it's not. It is a different color. Okay.
Oh,
Something is a different
you're
color.
in as magenta. I'm in as blue.
Oh.
That's it. That's your highlight color because I think Dana is in as green. I'm
gonna change this whole thing to all black because I don't know what is wrong. But maybe that's it. That looks okay. There we go. That looks better now. Okay. Okay. So the romance, the ignores and funnels. Let's check that over then one more time, and then we have. Did you fix the? You did. Okay, updated. That's. Oh, you did that. I'm gonna.
Can I ask a question? The blah romance part, is this where like she admires her tattoos? Charlie has full sleeve tattoos. Is this where you'd put something like that, including like her admiration for her ink or her snarky remarks about her, I don't know, her manifesting powers, or I don't know, like is that what you mean? Like something kind of like,
it would be an example of her delighting in this person. It doesn't have to be a repeated plot element. It's
what?
No, it's a continuation of an element. It doesn't have to repeat.
Okay.
Because she falls in love with this girl who likes her tattoos. That happens, I hear.
It could happen. Okay.
And this, the way I put this right here, is straight up flirting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Do you see how it works, Morgan? Do you see how it has a verb, Morgan?
I like verbs too. Like was a verb.
You tolerate verbs, Morgan.
I appreciate a good verb.
Noun modified twice. We know. What nouns I give you as your emotional support on, what was it, Sunday morning?
You gave me 2 hyphenated nouns. They were glorious.
I know. I gave you a double hyphenated modified. Double hyphenated modified. Double modified noun.
I believe it was double spaced 3-page synopsis.
Yes, because I knew that if I went two page, you would
there
be.
There is no such thing as a 2-page synopsis.
Yes, you would not be. That would not be an emotional support. That would be a pack.
I will die on that hill. It is my hill. I will defend
I'm not surprised that you're dying on a noun, Morgan. Nobody's surprised about that.
I verb a lot when I'm defending it.
What does that say about you as a person, Morgan?
I mean,
anyway, well, Dana ponders her life choices that she's listening to argue about nouns and verbs at 10:30. Well, 7:30 for you, but 10:30 for us. See, part of the reason that I was asking about podcasts is I have listened to a couple, and they all sound like people having conversations without realizing how boring they are. And then I realized, you know what? That's me and Morgan, because this entertains the hell out of me. But somebody who doesn't care about our connection and our noun and verb thing would be like, literally, stop. All right.
What it's worth, I'm a happy bystander.
Okay. So
why aren't? Never mind.
Are we happy with this? Are we tweaking? Where are we?
I'm waiting for Dana. See, while she's doing that, I think it's
fantastic. I'm gonna play with that one sentence.
Yeah.
I want to come up with something juicy from the book, but it looks so good.
Okay. So you like ignores and funnels up here?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Hooray!
Okay. Should I read the final version?
Yeah. I love your voice. You can go ahead and read it anytime.
Oh, thank you. So, celebrating queer love, body positivity, and coffee, Rainbow Lattes is an 80,000-word dual point of view contemporary romance set in lush, evergreen Seattle. It will appeal to fans of the humor plus heart of Ashley Herring Blake's Delilah Green Doesn't Care and the plot stuff of Ruby Barrett's The Romance Recipe. Free-spirited Charlie, 27, divorces her childhood sweetheart, then ignores her broken heart and funnels her energy into saving her sinking coffee shop. Miscalculations and fluctuating costs pushed her to the brink of financial ruin, and if she doesn't pay her creditors in 3 months, she'll lose everything again. 26-year-old best-selling crime novelist Mac has only ever been good at one thing, and it turned her into a surprise debut bestseller. But writer's block has been crushing her since. So she escapes New York City and seeks refuge in Seattle's Serenity. She discovers a quaint residential coffee shop where she meets Charlie, a beautiful, curvy, sharp-tongued barista. For the first time, she has a muse. Debt collectors are calling Charlie daily, but she's too busy obsessing over Mac's sexy as hell Brooklyn accent and flattering questions about her life, including how anyone could have such pretty tattoos. Meanwhile, Mac's publisher threatens to drop her if she doesn't deliver by next month. So she uses Charlie's private stories to inspire her manuscript. As she digs into Charlie's past, she falls in love and is consumed by guilt. Charlie finds herself falling in love too. Now she must decide whether to risk cracking her recently mended heart and how to pay her creditors. And Mac must either surrender her muse for the truth and give up the only thing she's succeeded at, or give up her external professional validation for love. That ending feels a little clunky.
Agreed.
That last line seems a little clunky. Or give up her external professional validation for love.
Yeah, that was concept language.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you see me using a lot of nouns there, right?
Yeah. Can we just do her career for love?
Yeah, we can take out.
I don't know, Dana. It's your query.
Yeah.
I think career is what I actually originally had, so I think
it is. In fact, yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to go.
Yeah, I think we've
career
got enough.
Is less emoting.
Yeah, I think we have enough.
You're not going to lose it there.
Yeah, we emote with only things she succeeded at, and only things she's ever been good at. So
perfect.
That's
okay. Is that long?
So, are we doing first pages?
Oh yeah. No, I told her what to do here.
Okay. I'm gonna read them.
I left a note for you. Oh
god. Do all these nouns parse. Nutty Dark. Dark should come before nutty. Not sure why, but it should.
Okay.
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 The earthy aroma jostled her from her early morning brain fog. Dark, nutty, and a hint of chocolate swirled like a vapor. Charlie blew into her red lipstick-stained rainbow mug and then indulgently indulged in a grateful sip. The caffeine danced on her tongue before it left a trail of golden heat down her throat. Coffee, her true love. Charlie swiped overflowing lids and napkins to clear space for her mug on the tiny desk, accidentally scraping the inside of her freshly inked butterfly on her inner wrist, causing a sharp, fiery burn. She drew a tiny heart on her motivational quotes calendar, marking Sugar Mug's official 6-month anniversary. Her dream of creating a safe space where kids, queers, and grandparents could gather was finally a reality. She kissed the 4-leaf medallion that draped her neck and prayed she could last another month. Chunky, you ready? Ben emerged from the corner table and slipped his apron over his neck. One of her long red hairs that embedded itself into her dress sleeve was yanked and discarded on the floor. She pried open the blinds and her shoulders loosened when she peeked at the few regulars waiting on the sidewalk. Maybe today would be a good day. Scratch that. Manifest, focus. Today would be a great day. Yep, you? She asked. He touched the side of his perfectly pomaded black hair. I'm caffeinated, moisturized, and having a good hair day. Double finger guns pointed at her. Open. All morning, a steady stream of customers filtered through Charlie's residential neighborhood coffee shop. The swoop of cherry blossom scented the air from the unseasonably warm Seattle summer, funneled through the shop each time it opened. That doesn't quite parse. When Charlie's fingers tapped the order screen, her smile grew. Every sale filled her with gratitude while evaporating stress drops from her anxiety bucket. Dropped. Oops, I'm not in suggest mode. Oh, let me wave at Patrick. Oh, he's already back.
You see the blue? Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue, there we go. That's blue.
Camera.
So I think I see where you changed a couple things, which is good. Oh, I see what this is. This is a hint of the woo stuff, isn't it?
There's a lot of woo stuff at the beginning. That's a lot of superstitions in like 2 paragraphs.
Is it too much? Or is it nail who she is? I'm trying to get like she's like when you go into her house, she has like fairy stuff and like she's very
She's got a motivational calendar, a medallion, and a mantra within 3 paragraphs. That seems maybe overdoing it by one.
Okay. We have death. I'm sorry. Okay.
Ben calls her Chunky.
Chucky.
No.
Chucky. Charlie.
That's not the issue. That's not the issue. Okay. Not the issue.
No, I was just confused by that part.
We have Dana. Look at the gap between Chucky, you ready, and yep, you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, death.
What am I looking at?
What I highlighted.
Face. Okay.
You see all that? Here's everything that happens between when he asks and she answers.
Well, can we just move it down to just above the manifestation?
You could do the hair thing if you're going to do it before Chucky, right?
Yeah.
You could, in fact, move all this here up to above Chucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we have Chucky. You ready? Ben movement because it's an action tag, and then yep, you. And we don't even need this. I'm not sure. We have to do so. We have to do something there to.
Okay. I think behind the corner table. I don't think he was under it.
So streams through. And then swoosh of doesn't funnel. Tray blossom something there. Summer. Swoosh through. Before you had to swoosh funneled, you're trying to use 2 verbs at once.
Okay.
So air swooshed or air funneled, but swooshes don't funnel. I'm sorry.
That makes sense.
Not even for us. What you can do okay, I think I see this. Literally tapped on every time or more or whatever. Smile is your verb there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Every time made us sale or whatever. Motif here.
Oh, we have the echoes. Every time the door opened, cherry blossom scented air from the unseasonably warm Seattle summer swooshed through the shop. Every time Charlie's fingers tapped on the order screen, she smiled harder. I think her smile grew, would have been fine. Every time she made a sale, gratitude filled her and her stress dropped from her anxiety bucket. Oh, evaporated.
Evaporated.
Is echoing a good thing? Is that like you try to do that?
It can be.
You're building. That's the reason. Yeah. If you do it well, yes.
And sparingly.
All morning.
You don't want to do it
not like
all the time.
You can't see the rhetoric of threes is a big thing. An example of this, if you look at the speeches of President Obama, you will find he uses the rule of threes pretty. It's a very basic building block he uses. And when I say he, I mean him and his speechwriter, who I believe attended Holy Cross. He uses threes. If it's only twos, it doesn't feel as organic. It doesn't feel as robust. If you use four, it feels really gross. But you use threes. You pair it with twos to go from A to Z, from 1 to 10, and see already it's breaking because I can't think of anything else. From white to black or something, whatever. But if you do a 4, it's like, how desperate are you to convince me? So the rule of threes is what we're using.
Yeah. 4 feels like beleaguering the point. How do I say the word?
Belaboring?
Yeah.
Beleaguered is the thing. It's not the thing you're trying to use there.
Okay. You're right. Okay.
But you see up here, you have a threes here, right?
Yeah. The double gun.
3 there, and you 3 here, right?
Sorry, I was double gunning at her.
I don't do that.
Black people know what that means.
There's a thing on Twitter where you're either a double thumbs up or a double finger gun gay, and no, I'm not either of these things. And if I did that, someone would think I was being kidnapped, and they'd probably be right.
So are you a double dimple guy?
It's gay, yeah. And I'd have to smile at her. Morgan, use lots of verbs and we'll see. Use lots of verbs and we'll see, Morgan.
Jumped, climbed, spoke, shouted.
Use the subject so we know it's not past participles, Morgan.
Froze.
No. Not brave. No, not tangled. No. That's those are past participles, Morgan. You're trying to cheat, Morgan. I'm not going to explain that again. God, that was something.
I know.
Person, Morgan posted a thing on Facebook.
About how
I pointed out, and actually they're all verbs.
Yes. Because the past participle is?
It's an adjective, but it's also a verb. I pointed out that 2 of the 3 were past participles and the third was a verb. And this human walks in like he's people. And I'm like, no, in fact, sir. Good day to you, sir. And other people were like, well, but actually, I'm like, don't make it worse. And Morgan and I talked privately, and I'm like, all right, I'm giving this guy one shot. And so I explained it to him in a way that my 5-year-old could understand. Well, let's pretend. And he comes back with a response. The concept was him pretending, yes, this all made sense to me all along, and here's a joke to prove it. No! You're not that person. No. You don't get to do that joking rejoinder. You haven't earned that. So I muted the thing or whatever the verb is.
Yeah. I do one rebuttal on Facebook and then I move on with my life because I have a life and fighting with people on Facebook is not usually it.
When people don't know what they're talking about, convincing them otherwise is not my job.
No. Agreed.
I mean, I guess the snarky thing to do would have just
that's a common splice. That's why that didn't work. Of course.
Link drop, an Amazon link for Strunk and White.
That's it. There's a really big verb there. Tossed it?
Sure.
It's a hair. It's not,
a relationship.
Well, the bigger the word is, the more you're telling people it matters. And hair, I just don't see it.
Oh, yeah, it was used to show her appearance, which apparently I'm supposed to do in the first part.
Yeah, you're supposed to have a hair color and then never use it again. It's like, look at the colors of things, and no, let's not use them at all. Like, why? I don't care. I have a short story. I don't describe any character's hair color except for one person because it's this person just rejoicing in the thing and whatever. No, that's not true. Have her wearing a wig. Anyway, a few others. And okay, a few.
Nice. What happened to my shrunken wife? Somebody poured water on it.
Well, you have a cat, so that's real hard to guess there. Real hard to guess.
I didn't think it was.
Is that the
4th edition?
Is that what year is that published?
This one was published in.
Is that the Angel forward or the White forward?
Angel forward. Okay,
that's what it is then. So here's a fun thing. The people who wrote that, that's the one. I know that one actually, and here's the reason. So
E.B. White might be familiar to fans of Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little.
So William Strunk taught Andy White English at, was it Columbia or something like that? And he, William Strunk, had made a list, like my resources. He had a resource page for students, explaining mechanics like using verbs and stuff like that. And he distributed it to his students, and it became popular, and he published it. It became really popular because it makes sense. It's a bunch of sensible stuff about mechanics. So Andy White eventually took over because Strunk had died or something, I guess, which happens. I think Strunk was born in 1874, something like that. Anyway, but Andy White was from an era in which particularly men thought it was perfectly fine to use he to mean she, too. This was incredibly common, and to a certain class of editors it still is. And in one edition of Elements of Style, Andy White went off for, I think, pages on the validity of using a gendered pronoun to mean she. I think what happened is his daughter married Roger Angell, probably because that was the only way she could not correct her husband's grammar all the time, which asks me how I know that's annoying. My wife and I don't have to correct the grammar because we both do this for a living, so I don't have to listen to garbage like different than. Anyway, when Roger Angell picked up the ownership of the book, one of the things he did was include a foreword saying, okay, they is perfectly fine. And that's the version Morgan has.
Interesting.
There was a person on Twitter who was asking, what book could a pretentious English teacher be reading at a coffee shop that would tell you that you want to leave them alone? And I suggested The Elements of Style with a foreword by Andy White, because you know exactly what it is. I don't know if she went with that, but I felt she understood what I meant. Anyway, so I have now destroyed your page in a different way, though. Do you see how I marked different stuff this time?
Yes, I do. I love it.
The reason for that is that you actually focused on something this time, which is good, because last time you had a plot element. Here, everyone gets a plot element. Oh, plot elements. Okay. So, okay, Morgan, did you see my question here?
No, give me a moment. And
yes, I will
figure out where we are.
Uppity up. There you go, right there. Yep, right there.
Okay.
I have a question for you there. Look at my question for you there, Morgan. I think you'll enjoy reading it.
No, they don't. It needs to be part of the previous sentence or not at all.
Nutty is a modifier. Dark can be a noun, but nutty is a modifier. So you have adjective swirled, which doesn't work.
Yeah. So
A hint of chocolate is a noun.
The scent, a nutty scent, a nutty dark.
See, I think what you're trying to do here, Dana, is you had lots of modifiers you wanted to use, and you couldn't get them all to work together, so you made a second sentence. Right?
Probably.
Did I get it right?
I think so.
Forensic linguistics?
Yes. So I think because my first sentence had the earthy aroma, and I was trying to double click into what earthy meant to her.
Yeah, no, clearly.
Yeah. You might have to decide which of these things you want to keep.
Earthy is not what I would describe. For me, earthy is soil or
chocolate is not earthy to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I should say hearty. Maybe not earthy.
That makes me think stew. I think nutty would work.
So the nutty aroma jostled her from her early morning brain fog, and just keep that on that first sentence.
Is it a roasted nut flavor? I don't care, but the reader does. Because this is basically coffee porn, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a lot of coffee porn.
What flavor is it exactly?
It would be more nutty. Yeah.
No, what's the name of the flavor?
Oh.
This is a kind of coffee shop that has 19 flavors of coffee, right?
Yeah.
What's the aroma? Specific aroma?
I guess chocolate.
No.
You're saying like Colombian coffee? I don't know. Not an actual
Brazilian half roast or some thing where you can feel the dollar signs piling up. Like $10 per cup of this coffee, right? It's got some fancy frou-frou name, lady. Tell me what it is.
I don't know. I'll have to Google. I'm sorry. I just called it earthy.
Well, fix it in post.
Okay.
Because that takes care of this, right? That's all describing that one aroma, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's your fix.
Do you by any chance have an example?
Let me find you expensive. Hold on. Yeah.
The aroma of the German
No, not a prepositional phrase. No. Do not do that. No, bad idea. It needs to be. Let me find. Hold on. This is just names for drinks.
This is what I found.
Fancy coffee beans. Let's see if I can do that. This might. Give me a second.
There are 4 basic types: Arabica,
so just give me a second.
Robusta, Excelsa, and Liberica.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Okay, so here's a frou-frou coffee name. Hana Bliss.
Okay.
Do not use that one, though. It's not that one. It's not going to give you enough of a... You need a name that communicates things about the coffee rather than just, Badass decaf is terrible. You don't want...
roasted Kona? Or like from Kona region of Hawaii, Maui, that...
Let's see if this is... this might be it. This might be something. That's still not... I don't...
Do they roast their own coffee beans?
And not this place, no.
Okay.
Here we are. The Volcanica free range Kopi Luwak. Too many nouns, but you know. Let me see if I can find one as an example for you. Just one second. And not decaf.
Never.
Tisk.
All right. I don't see chocolate here, but so you can. Yeah, you'll have to research it. But here's an example of something that communicates luxury to me. Someone who doesn't care. See?
Okay.
Right.
And is that
You
an
want
aroma or
something-
is that the title of a bean? So I wouldn't say aroma anymore, right?
You could say, yeah, you would absolutely, because it's the aroma from the coffee, right? Yeah.
Okay.
The $10 a cup
brand name, but yeah.
And I got. You can make it up if you. Do you have that thing where if once you see enough stuff, you can make up a word for it?
Ooh, check this. It's a website talking about how to describe coffee scents.
What is the website?
I'm not surprised that you
linked it. Here, let me link it in our chat so you can just click it.
Oh, I might have one. Hold on. Hazelnut.
So this suggests that it could boil down to the nutty cocoa aroma jostled her from her.
Oh, sure, kill my dream.
Adjectives instead of nouns. I'm branching out.
Colonizing.
You've claimed one part of speech.
Colombian
The rest of them are mine.
You can have them. They don't do anything. You can have all the positions you want, lady. You're just going to get mired in quicksand. Look at me with my abort about among in along. Yeah, murdered.
Yeah, but verbs can't do anything alone.
Go.
Something has to do the thing.
Do. Die. What just happened?
Who? It's an implied you. There's an implied noun.
Who do you think I'm implying, lady? Not my landlady.
Is it my kitty?
Anyway, you can swirl this like a vapor of sentence, jostling her from her blah blah blah. In fact, around her head, jostling her from her.
That somebody did a prepositional phrase for an adverb. Adjective, adverb, adverb. Ly is adverb.
Very good, Morgan. You learned a fact, and not about nouns.
I'm very good at identifying prepositional phrases.
Most editors will tell you to show this. Close your eyes, smile, whatever thing, however you show it, it doesn't matter. But indulgently is, if you've opened with this kind of sentence, the reader is along for the ride for the word use, right?
Yeah.
So use the words.
Okay.
Give them this coffee waking up porn, because this is factually inviting them to enjoy something in fictional solitude.
Even I can pretend I drink coffee.
To continue, Dana, with this moment of refinement and verbs, you are inviting the reader to luxuriate. You're inviting them to imagine themselves being able to sip sit back with a cup of coffee and sip and steep themselves in the building cloud of
No,
hazel.
they can't steep themselves. That's for tea.
Morgan, you ignorant. Yes, they can. You can use verbs for more than one thing. Can't you, Dana?
That was a
Can you
tea
steep?
joke. That was a
Can
tea
you
drinker joke.
say, Morgan, I'm talking. We're having a refined moment. A simple moment of wonder and joy. Imagine yourself steeping in the dark roast hazelnut aroma. Isn't life wonderful? That's what you're giving. So luxuriate in that. Yeah? All right, Morgan, back to modifiers.
Your moment is done.
My only concern with what I did here, warming is too much like worming.
I loved the trail of golden heat, but okay.
Yeah, but that's left as a verb. And it's you've got heat is a good verb and trail is a good verb, and you've nouned them both.
Oh, it did have a beautiful modifier, so obviously we can see my attraction to the phrase.
Yes, Morgan, truly we are shocked that you would fall for the modifier. That. We've already got one inside where we don't need two.
Okay.
Causing a burn. Not is that meant to give distance? Because that does. Burn is a good verb. Causing as your verb is giving me distance and it's hitting me less. Is it? It's intentional, isn't it? Though you're giving the enough of a sense of it that I know it's happening without actually burning you, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, then keep it. Because nouns distance us from the action, as you know, which is why I don't like them that much.
Oh, could we flip the sentence around?
We don't want the burn to be sharper. We just discussed this. You
Okay.
were off in modifier land.
No, I was just trying to debate which was stronger.
Does she have a facial reaction to 6 months here or not?
She could. Like she's
do
warm.
it or don't. But you know, if she's right, so she's just luxuriated in this coffee. We have her doing that for a solid paragraph and a half, let's say, and an entire paragraph for coffee or true love, and then we have swiping stuff, you know, tossing stuff aside to mark a thing. Oh, she kissed it. That's the That's the no. We need something oral here because we have her sipping the coffee. That's oral, right? We have her kissing the medallion. That's oral. We need
a hiss. Maybe she hissed.
No, not
fiery burn.
See,
blow into her coffee.
No.
We need a celebratory oral thing.
Oh.
And I was so careful of my phrasing around oral there.
So I do actually have a slight issue with that one sentence because I was like, oh, is she drawing a heart on every day of the calendar? And then I realized it was the 6 month one. So I almost think the 6 months
heart placement initially looks random.
Yeah, like she needs to do it after we mention it's the 6 month anniversary. Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, I think okay. So this is a motivation, a quote a day calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so quote a day calendar I think would work better.
Oh, sorry. I guess I had thought it would be like a regular size calendar, and then every month has like some big motivational.
Oh, all right, that's
matter. I guess
that's different then.
When I was visualizing it, she went up on that date.
Where is she drawing the heart? Just randomly on a day.
on a day, like on the 15th or whatever.
It's specifically marking the 6-month anniversary, but I didn't catch that until the reread.
Got it.
So
the
you do a tiny heart on June 3rd, or it's going to count. Marking the official.
I was just like, is she so hippie that she puts a heart instead of an X when a day finishes? What's going on here?
Well, it's the morning, so no morning. I think you'd know that now.
Hearts. So maybe she starts her day with love and manifestation.
Morgan,
I amuse myself, but not you.
That is definitely true. You amuse yourself. We definitely understand that. Let me get away from you. All right. Draped is not transitive, is it, Morgan? Why am I asking you that question? I don't think draped is a transitive verb. That hung from her neck? Something. But draped, I don't see. Did Amy read this page too?
Yeah.
Is it draped?
And she didn't flag draped?
She didn't flag it, but
okay. That's good to
know.
But
Amy, if you're listening, it's not, yeah, I don't know. She flagged a lot of other things.
Okay, that's good. Oh, this is what? Yes, Morgan, you had a thought about a noun?
If she wanted to keep the duh sound, maybe dangled from her neck.
Oh, dangled.
That's tolerable, yeah.
Do we need a from?
Oh, dangled from her neck instead of dangled her neck.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because again, it's not transitive. Do you know what transitive means, you two?
I do not.
I have known in the past.
Google it after this.
I can explain it easily enough. Okay, so I throw the ball. Throw is transitive because I'm acting on a thing. Versus I throw a ball. Throw a masquerade ball. Wrong example. That's also transitive. Transitive is a thing acting on something else. But some things aren't transitive. I become a thing, not transitive, not acting on a thing. Acting on yourself, if anything. It's at its root, it's a basic grammar thing, because if something can't act on a thing, right? Then you can't have certain things happen. All right. Oh, embed herself in her sleepless. In and into is hard to judge. I happen to know it because that's the job. So I am condensing this hair yanking scene to show its lack of importance and to show her moving on in the same sentence to what she wants. Right?
Do you want me to start accepting stuff again so it's not as messy?
I don't care. No, well, the thing with the query was it was all green. This still has this is still a little bit you. I mean,
that stuff.
You know, you're semi-people-ish, except in this paragraph, which is just and the first one, which I now own. But I'm he said lovingly. We started with Drea because it took her 5 hours, and she's still not there because she had to fix her book.
That happens.
If I lose scented here, does this still give you what you need?
Cherry blossom.
Or I can do this because
We probably don't need air in there.
That's not the way I want to toss though.
No? Okay.
You'll want to fix blot her blah, but that's the concept. The blot there is a verb, and the blah there is noun about her. Warm to heart, whatever thing. Make sure it's authentic to the character. I don't know what it is, but whatever. This would also be a good place. This every time thing would be a good place to repeat a luck element, medallion or whatever thing, right? I don't know what it is. I don't care, but it's a thing that's going to be an element of her that you're going to build in the book.
So do you mean like every time the door opened, she thanked her crystals, and every time the door opened,
whatever? Yeah, that's sure. Yeah, good verb.
Okay.
Which is a sentence that I say, and it's only me. All right. Okay. That's that. Okay. That's that. Okay. And okay. Yeah, that's okay. Anything else? Any questions? Any death wishes for nouns?
No, just so much gratitude.
I'm here for them. I'm here for them. I hate nouns too, Dana. Noun haters not anonymous.
Oh my gosh. No.
Also, gratitude was a noun, so. But everyone can't be like me. It's good that they. If more people were like me, the world would be
interesting.
Variety.
Really? No, that's a noun. No, that's a modifier. Yeah, it is. I'm really tired. I didn't. You weren't on the stream for this, but I had 4 days off of humans. 3 days off of humans.
And it was glorious.
And when I have time off from things, my sleep schedule flips. I go to bed in the morning, and I wake up at night. And this is my first day back at work after being off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Getting back to sleeping regularly has been a situation.
I bet.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee either. It would be a bad idea.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the other humans in your house have been off their schedule and maybe overly excitable.
Wait, well, they're kids, so that's enough, really. Because they don't care about sleep; they care about playing.
And stealing Daddy's water bottle.
Yes, my water mug, which I am fond of because it keeps me from wanting to throw things as much. Why are you there? Not you, a different you. That's okay. That's fine. And so, all right, I think that's as much as I can do this, because you don't have stuff to do. This begins vaguely like litfic, and it is definitely coffee porn, and happy energy stuff. So keep that going. Do you have to rewrite things to get that to happen or not?
Yeah, I'll have to rewrite. Yeah, but that's good. That's good.
But if people food aroma porn books like coffee porn, that is a subgenre, legitimately. People buy something for the sensory aspects of it, right?
Question. Just like, is the rest of the book that evocative of the senses, or did you just put it in the first chapter to try, after like 5 million feedbacks of, hey, I want to smell it, I want to see it, I'll invoke all you know, because if the rest of the story isn't that much of, you know,
Yeah.
then
this is prologue E. And inserting coffee point into it is very easy.
Yeah.
Very easy. You can basically just paste it in. And there's a book, in fact, that's a similar thing. The Con Code is partly about, which is a book I actually read. Hooray! I read a book, Morgan. Yes. And you can tell that it was published by some imprint called like Smooch Publication, something where the focus is the kisses, and you can tell where they went in and prettied up the kissing language in like 5 places in the book, right? And because that's the point of this imprint, is it focuses on kisses, right? Well, you can do the same thing with coffee, where people understand that we're slowing down so that we can appreciate the particulars of the coffee, right? That's fine. You can do that. The reader's there for it, right? It's the equivalent of literary fiction for coffee.
Good to know. I actually didn't know there was any sort of subgenre.
Yeah.
That's just trying to
just
be
like there are agents who yes, but you have to keep doing it. Otherwise it's like a prologue. It begins all pretty and then you get to Jack stares at the water. Yep.
Yeah,
and that's
fair. I will definitely add that more.
There's a huge tendency for writers to begin with lots and lots and lots of adjectives, and then they die on about page 4 because they run out of energy for it. It's like, okay, you have to do this. If you start out juggling all these adjective balls, you have to keep going. But there are agents who are like, I love reading about food. Keep giving it. I get hungry. I get hungry with client books. And it's like, okay, that's a book that exists partly to make you hungry, and that's fine. Fortunately, as I said, doing it's very easy. You just, you carve out that space for all the aroma, whatever stuff. You can even use it to enhance romance, because you can have the person extend their orb of aroma to this other person and fill their space with it too. And you can see them enjoying it with their eyelids fluttering or whatever, others lips, doing whatever biological stuff like that. And that feeds your romance. Morgan, she's the same noun twice in a minute. Please clap. Thank you. Jeb. The only good thing to come out of that presidential campaign is those 2 words. Please clap. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay, so this was 2015, and Jeb Bush, who was running, this was his actual, there you go. Okay, this was his actual thing. Jeb. The sign is with Jeb, because he couldn't use his last name. Why couldn't he use his last name? Because it's Bush. And he didn't want to remind people, yeah, that guy. Jeb Bush has the personality of a Pez dispenser. He makes John Kerry look charismatic. And so he's standing there in all of his lack of shoulders and lack of masculinity and just total dumpity-dump person, explaining how he's a leader and he's going to get things done. He, talks about stuff and all this. And please clap. And is this perfect? Like they didn't know that he was saying something important. Because he's that much of a... I'm not doing it. It was just... Surprisingly, he got beat by somebody who had some personality. That was all that person has still, but it sold. So that's Jeb.
That's Jeb. That's please clap.
So when you see please clap, that's what that's
now I'll know.
That's the only thing. Yeah. Anyway, all right. All set.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, both of you, so much. I really this is so sweet of you to give your time like this, and I'm so grateful. I really
Thanks for sharing your story with us. It sounds adorable, and I'm so rooting for Charlie and Mac.
Oh, thank you. Oh, warm fuzzies. I'm so excited to get to work. But yeah, I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's close that. He said clinically. All right, we have 45 minutes left. We have 42 minutes left.
Ooh.
So I want to look at recent debuts.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
You can pick whatever genre. I don't care. Self-published. Ooh, I have an idea. I just got an idea. You want to hear? You go ahead and find a first page that is trad pub and a first page that is self-pub. And let's see if I can figure out.
Really hard today because my Amazon front page is 100% Cyber Monday deals.
Okay.
But if I go
is
to
that
Kindle
all the
Home,
self-pub then?
let me go to the Kindle homepage and see if that helps.
While you do this, let me just say briefly.
Yeah.
There is value in traditional publishing.
Yeah.
And there's value in self-publishing. Because here's the thing. Self-published, a lot of self-published stuff is crap. A lot of trad pub stuff is crap too. Okay? Because once you prove that you can move copies, they're less concerned with making it good and more concerned with getting it the fuck out there. All right? I have read trad pub stuff that clearly needed to be edited. And the authors admitted they needed to edit it better. But they're focused on moving copies because it's a business. Okay? Self-pub is, one of the things about self-pub is, okay, it goes very fast, which means that if you have people who are used to reading your stuff every month, right, you can do that, okay, because trad pub just isn't that. It takes a long time. And if you have a team, right, publishing, for example, erotica, you can get your team pushing titles every month, every other month. That quality is there and is proven, and we know it's proven because it sells. The goal of this stuff is to sell. There is no absolute quality guarantee in trad pub. Having said that, some self-pub is trash because people go, okay, I've created this thing a ton. I haven't gotten anything. I'm going to self-pub it, right? That's not the business. Self-pub is great for stuff that trad pub doesn't want, such as new adult, such as erotica, which you can't put in a lot of stores in a lot of places.
It also works pretty well for serials, like for romance and
novellas,
mysteries, things that are typically short and somewhat, but not entirely, obviously, formulaic, where, you know, you're just going back to visit old friends and hang out and see what happens next.
I am part of a Facebook group that has like 45,000 members, and the recommendations for books are almost all self-pub. And these are people, that's their business, right? They're not slapping a Canva cover on. They have an actual team that does this. It's like a publisher. It's highly professional. The editing is very solid. So when I'm talking about distinguishing between trad pub and self-pub, there are some cases where you can't tell because it's self-pub because the business model worked better for them, not because they couldn't get Macmillan to buy it. Because again, you can get self-pub out there much faster. There are a lot of writers who prefer it because they can get that income stream going. They're not waiting 2 years for a Tor imprint to finally publish it, right? They're doing it in 2 months, and that's their business. And there are, in fact, rules that I picked up. I was asked to help with some blurbs for some self-pub books. And Morgan, you'll be pleased to learn that in self-pub, the back cover stuff is heavily about modifiers. And once I figured that out, it was like, okay, this is a rule system for this document. And that's fine because that's, again, what people want, right? With queries, it's all verbs. And you've seen that. We've looked at that stuff, right? But for back cover stuff, for the self-pub stuff, it's heavily modifiers. It's a document. It's a sales document. And they all have requirements. And once you understand them, you can use them. That's fine. I don't mind that because I know what I'm working with. And I can go, okay, modifier, modifier, modifier. That's fine. They also have lots of keyword stuff like cozy romance and, you know, cabinet, sweet Christmas, whatever stuff it is, right? You learn the rules and you use them. Just like a query, just like your first page. That was partly to give you time to find it.
Okay, I found some stuff.
Okay,
So,
go ahead and give me the. Don't tell me what it is because I don't want to know.
sure.
I just want the first pages side by side so I can compare them.
Oh, side by side.
I'm not looking at them. I'm not looking at the titles yet.
Okay.
I won't know the titles of the authors. I just I'm not
Sure.
gonna know because I'll read. Because language irritates me. I've been fixing things for 20 odd years. Published words irritate me because
So one of them has a prologue. Should I skip past it?
give me the prologue.
Okay.
Because that happens in Trad Pub too. And the fact that it's Trad versus Sub isn't a reason to include or disinclude a prologue. You shouldn't include it because it's gonna feel separate. A good prologue is chapter 1. Okay, I don't know anything about these books at all. I don't know which is Trad, which is Self. Okay. Okay. All right. That changes that first paragraph. Okay, that's why, because we're getting into it. Okay. So we start with the En guise de prologue, which is French. Start with a strong noun, another strong, number 42. Sad is deliberately weak. Reasons for failure, again, a strong noun. Okay. Flinching is a gerund. Samurai is a particular noun. Attempts, high note. This is all nouns. This is avoiding the process because the only real we tend to reflect weakens the verb there. Cut open is your basic concept. You could have gone sliced, you could have gone gashed. Cut is de-escalated heavily. So this is heavy on the nouns and light on the verbs. And if you're doing it right, that's fine. There are lots of great examples of that. Okay. Strong modifier cannot. Know that now. Why I sound vicious. Modifier speak again. Sing, know, sound, speak. These are basic verbs. These are not elevated. And then we get deep, really deep vocal fry. We've had all this. Vicious is a harder one, right? A more elevated modifier. So you've got base verbs still continuing from the first paragraph and elevated modifiers and nouns. Really deep vocal fry that soon transforms. First strong verb transforms on purpose. Wailing crescendo, and you get the heightened sense with the transforms and heighten it even more with wailing crescendo, right? All of that is deliberate. Now that appeals to either Trad Pub or Self Pub. Okay, so that's that first half page there. Let's go to the other one now. 100 years ago, bustling resort. Okay, so we still got a noun, modifier. Okay. Livelihoods, bound. This is working the same way, honestly. Was, worked, came from. These are all basic verbs to highlight the bustling, the shipbuilding, majority of livelihoods, bountiful supply of seafood. And then you've set us up for nouns. Then we got place nouns that are uncommon but also known. I don't know where Croatia is, but I have a general sense of it. Again, more nouns. And then here, worked, again, is a very basic. We have, in that previous sentence, that workers were fished. Basic verbs. Worked, again, basic verb. Schooners, a specific noun. Trawlers, specific noun. Harvesting, a little elevated, maybe. Seafood. But that's for the scene, that's pretty basic. Shucked, again, for the scene, that's pretty basic. And packed, even more basic. There were 40 canneries. Okay, so here we have a de-escalation. There were, anytime you have starting with a vague, going like there were, that's de-escalating. 40 canneries side by side in the area known as Back Bay. To de-emphasize and just provide background. Ship 20 million tons and see the fact that the 40 canaries is so de-escalated means that then the shipping of the 20 million tons can be that much higher, right? Because you got these people working, 12,000 people working, 10 cents an hour, relatively de-escalated stuff here, right? And then 20 million seafood is supposed to be, and then you follow it. Demand was so great because if you didn't know that 20 million tons was a big thing, demand was so great, right? And then you got bountiful up top, and then you pair with plentiful down here, plus a plentiful, that by then the city could boast. Boast is the first strong verb we have here to me. Boast of being the seafood capital of the world. All that is set up, and then basic stuff, a little bit elevated with a noun, a little bit, and then it elevates a little bit at the 20 million, and the rest of the paragraph is just completely is escalating to that noun again. So these are both, essentially, to me, these are working the same way mechanically. And again, I don't know which of these is. Oh, look at that, John Grisham. That's a John Grisham title, right? That's Trad Pub, right?
Yes.
Yes. That is working mechanically the same way as the South Pub thing from whoever it even is. Trad Pub, there's no difference. Mechanically, these are identical. I mean, do you see a difference? I don't.
I went to Google and I asked for the top rated indie books because
there you go.
Some of the reputation of indie books are, a lot of the freebie ones are worth what you pay for them.
Yeah. No.
But there's so many indie books out there. There are plenty of them that are cream of the crop, and there are plenty of them out there where someone finished their NaNoWriMo, ran spell check, and tossed it out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We're gonna say John Grisham is not small press.
No, John
Kelly.
John Grisham is. See, look at the covers. Okay, the cover of the John Grisham is "Here's My Name," and the cover of the not John Grisham is "Not My Name."
Yeah.
When you have a name like that, you want to put that name as big as you can get, right, without destroying the cover. Otherwise, a book by Stephen King, the primary thing on the cover is the word Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're selling it, and that's fine. But Carlos Allende, I don't know this person. He might have, assuming he might have a name. I don't know. But he's not John Grisham. And that's why you have the title being the big thing there, right? And you're giving 4 concepts, each of which is meant to be an entry point into the book, right? If you want a book about coffee, then as long as the other nouns aren't terrible, right, you're fine. And these are 4 disparate nouns, right?
Yeah.
Because each of them is meant to be an entry point. Now, the risk you run with this is that's a plot elements list. Coffee is a plot element. Murder is a plot element. If you want something more involved than that, you want something more in the style of, the girl who said hello or whatever it is with, the noun, verb, rest of the sentence title, then that's not it's a different title concept for you. But mechanically, those first pages are identical because the work is the work, and if you study it and you get it right, that's what you get. You have to choose all the areas. The trouble people have, I think, sometimes is they want every word to be massive, and you just can't do that.
Yeah.
Every building can't be a skyscraper. You got to have parks. Everything can't be important. Sometimes the important thing is to get the basic stuff done, so you highlight everything else. It's like your water in a meal. The water is clearing the taste from this incredibly strong tasting thing that you like a cheese. You have a cheese that has a strong odor and a strong taste, right? You can't enjoy the cheese and the bacon without having water to cleanse, because the bacon tastes different. That's the job.
Yeah.
You have to have certain words that aren't as intense, that are quieter, so you can get that bacon flavor in there.
So that the strong verbs stand out. If every verb is strong, then you come across as if you've been using a thesaurus and that you're trying too hard. but when you use the strong verbs when you need them, they stand out and they make the reader slow down and pay attention.
The other thing is, if you're always using strong verbs, you have to be on it, because the second you use a weak one, you're saying, okay, I'm dipping here. There's got to be a reason. And if you're using strong verbs, a lot of the time, you need to put them in strong nouns. And again, you've got to, it's like a fence, okay? You can have a picket fence that's basic nouns, it functions. If you're going to have a really tight stone fence and you have a hole, you have to have a reason for it. It can't just be that you're not good enough. You have to have a reason.
Yeah. So I have a question, Patrick. Can you use weaker verbs to minimize and make people ignore something that might become important later on?
Mysteries do that. Yeah. You can do that and you also do it with level of detail. What you have is you're introduced into a scene. There's lots of stuff they're seeing or interacting with, and what you're doing is you're a needle in a pile of needles, basically. Because is the important thing the coffee cup? Is the important thing the stain? Is the important thing the rocks in the fireplace, right? And what you have to learn is how to describe things naturally, in a way that hides things in plain sight.
Yeah.
And that is mysteries pretty commonly. Yeah. And I'm doing that actually with the Brianna show I'm working on right now. She looks at scenes and reads them like a detective. She picks out an aspect of a character from a decade ago that went undiagnosed because she's reading the person in the living room.
Gotcha.
And you can use different language with that. You can use scene opening language because you can't always have, the chair at the beginning of a sentence. You have to have the character taking over at some point. But you can absolutely have to be the focus. You can center the language on the scene. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. We have 25 minutes left.
You want to do another one in a different genre? I tried to pick two that were at least in overlapping genres.
Close enough that there wouldn't be another reason. Yeah, go ahead. Do something, whatever it is. I don't care. I mean, as long as they're going to be, as long as someone who knows this stuff would expect them to be similar.
Sure.
I don't care what the genre age. I don't care. I mean, picture books are harder to do because it's so sparse.
Yeah. Let me scroll past the joy of
sex.
Which
is a non-fiction title from many years ago.
Sponsored. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So. What's this going to be? That's that person. Okay, let me think.
Okay, here we go.
And again, I don't know. I haven't seen these before. We didn't discuss this before. I just went, hey, what I do thing. And I don't know these titles or these. Well, I know John Grisham because I'm not dead. But I don't read much. I can read something about the first 8 lines at most and just know because I've done this a lot. If it's mechanically there. One thing to talk about with modifiers.
Sure.
I talk a lot about infusing modifiers into the words they're modifying. Sometimes that's bad. Sometimes you want to show the lack of escalation in something. There was a book, especially in literary fiction, but even overall, there's a difference between I dashed there and I walked there quickly. Dashed is escalating the word, right? Walk there quickly is deliberately not doing that. The thing is, you have to know what you're doing with it. Go ahead.
Yeah. As a note, I've noticed that YouTube seems to be blurring these a lot more than Twitch. So if you want to be able to actually see the text and you're watching, you may want to switch over to the Twitch. So they both start with a prologue.
Both? Are you kidding? God.
And one is trad and one is not.
I just saw the one that's trad. I just figured it I looked at the top.
Sorry.
I shouldn't have. It's not scrollable, right? You can't scroll past it, can you?
No,
it's safe there. That's
like
an advertisement. Okay, so they both begin with prologues.
Yeah,
which I hate. But
I know.
Okay, let's focus on this first sentence. It happens in slow motion. There is one big reason to go in slow motion rather than slowly. That reason is it takes longer to read. You are slowing them down and making them experience the slowness of the motion. It's in a good writing is deliberate about this. All right, bad writing isn't. Now, all right, have in slow motion. So we have happens is a basic verb. In slow motion is deliberately long. Runs inside the castle. This is all. That's functional to get me in the scene. Basic language. Races escalates it. Winding staircase escalates it. Hands moving along to behind the rail, showing, escalating it more and more and more. Okay. Heidi dress she's wearing, flowing. This is telling. That's fine. We're speeding through that. A floating thing that plunges down her waist and touches above her knees, rises and falls with her running. Okay. That's very okay. Flowing is not elevated, really. Plunges is elevated. Touches is placeholder. Rise and falls. Okay, this is as basic as you can get aside from the flowing and plunging. No belt, just front buttons going down, down. Again, basic. That just okay. That's something wrong.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. Okay.
I was switching windows and I didn't realize.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Just making sure.
Just making sure
my. She lights up a flight. That's escalated. Up, up, up. Thrill, rush, all the way. Okay. This escalates starting with she lights. We have it mostly down, down. We have it starting off down, right? Deliberately de-escalated. Races, shimmering sheen, hands. Races is escalated. Shimmering sheen is escalated. Then down, de-escalated. And then flowing and plunge is escalated. And then de-escalated from there to down, down. And then escalated with lights up. This is going up and down, deliberately. Again. Rises with such thrill. Lights up a flight. Such rush. Marble-coated monolith. All right? We don't have anything here we can shorten, really. Okay. That's self-pub. And the reason it's self-pub, my guess, is that's what the writer wanted to do. This, to me, there's nothing to keep this out of a bookstore so far. Now, I don't know what genre it is. I don't know what age range it is. It might be something trad pub doesn't like. But again, you can go fast with self-pub. If you have a team you've set up, it goes much faster. And that's not because it's less work. It's because that's your business model. That's your workflow, essentially.
Yeah.
Because these all have a process. Okay, let's look at this other one. I'm going to tell you the name on it because you can see it. Brandon Sanderson has been publishing books since I think before I might have been 10 for the first one. He's been publishing for a long time. I think his first books came out in the early 90s. It might have been late 80s. Where I knew it's basic. I had them. I bet so much better than the ground. Shows mom. Okay. This is sparse detail. And the reason it's sparse is that it doesn't matter. No?
First published in 2005.
This one?
Sanderson. First published in 2005.
2005? Okay.
With Elantris.
So 20 years then, which is still pretty robust.
Still robust. Yeah.
The level of detail here, he cares about beds a lot. All right. We don't need to know how old he is. Kids tells us that. We don't need to know where he is. Barely been on the mountain ground. He doesn't have a lot of detail to brag about. So we're focusing on the thing he cares about. We don't know what's outside. We don't know what he's wearing. We don't need to. We don't need to know what he's wearing because we can infer it's not a lot. He's focused on the bed. What you don't see here is as important as what you do see here. You don't need to be with hair color. You don't need to be with what it smells like. We don't care how what it smells like. We hear about how cold he is, right? The language here is incredibly basic. Knew, had, sounded, had to share, were cold. And then we get a new plot element here, monsters under the beds. You had heard stories of mysteries. And the second we get something, a word we don't know, we as that Brandon can know, we don't know, he relates it back to what we were just talking about. He grounds it in the book universe, which thus far is bed, right? He gives us a scary thing, steal the face of people you knew, basic language again. And then he gets back to beds, soft and squishy up top, right? And then he gets back to kids scared of them, right? Negotiate is maybe a little elevated. And then honor a bed. He gives us that honor, which is again deliberate. It's meant to show dialect. And the bed again, right? Anyway, no bed for him. This is a focus, right? The language is honor again up top. There, and the second line of the third paragraph there, under your bed, right? Which makes sense because kid would realistically say under your bed, right? This language is very basic. It's very focused on beds because that's the book world. We don't need much to be elevated. And when it isn't elevated, we are invited to focus more on the facts. Because when you're just really tired, your word choice is not that good, honestly. It really isn't. Having been tired a lot, you're focused on placeholder because it functions, right? We don't need to be talking about a bed being uncomfortably, whatever long word. Uncomfortably is enough, frankly, because the long word we have teammate settlement, which is not long, especially which goes by fast. Someone underneath, not even specific there, right? Rust in heaven, whatever that means. But this works differently from Major Fools. It's meant to be basic. Just like Major Fools is meant to go up and down and up and down, right? Going back to Major Fools, Flings is elevated, Rota Room is specific. We have, here's a fun thing. Okay, so we had up top in slow motion instead of slowly because we meant to spend longer reading it. It slowly moves, revolves. We have to read more, which makes that phrasing go by more slowly. That's meaning it slows us down. A sundial or a snail-paced merry-go-round. All that repetition, again, supposed to slow you down. And then tab, okay. Not that elevated. Odd melody, a little bit maybe. And then here's the thing that happens that you can do. Okay, so when you want to communicate something happens, something exists, without getting involved in the process of it, without investing emotionally in it. Now, a noun phrase, the hiss of a snake, a soft clash of cymbals. These things exist. They're not huge things. They're there. Arched doorways, pillars rimmed with gold. To do that, to de-escalate things and have it work, you have to have the confidence that you can avoid escalating everything and have everything be intense, right? Because what's intense? Her moving to that place, rising with such thrill, lights up a flight, right? I hadn't even seen lights up as a movement verb, but it makes sense within the book. And then we get slow moving stuff, and we get this setting, and we are invited to trust that the writer is not using verbs, is it using huge elevated language, because we can trust, okay, this stuff exists, it isn't essential. It's a nice thing to have in the background. The hiss of a snake in the background. The snake doesn't threaten us, okay? If you are writing a mystery, the hiss of a snake will be a great way to obscure details, because you get the hiss of the snake, the soft flash of symbols, arched doorways, pillars rimmed with gold. Those are all factual details, right? We don't know which one matters. We're invited to think they're all things on equal weight, right? The hiss of a snake is 5 words. Pillars rimmed with gold is 4 words, okay? Arched doorways, 2 words, right? The movement, the slow movement in the rotary room, that's a line, and it's more than one full line on a slow thing, but it's spending so much space on it to tell us this is slow. Pause here, look at it. Let's see. Bracelets of orange flame at half mast along the walls, the paintings as like a cloud. Each. This is getting to matter more. We have 2 words in soft clash. That's a 2-word modifier. Or phrase, I don't know. But then we get dimly lit paintings, which is a longer noun phrase. Inside veils of cloud. That's 6 words in a row with no punctuation. That's more than we had in the previous sentence. This is telling us in the use of space, just like with slow motion, just like with slowly moves revolves, right? This is him using space. Him, right? You, Jen? Is that this is the writer using space to communicate to us something mattering more, right? Also, look at the capital letters, all right? We don't have the breed of snake. We don't have pillar. What type? There are 3 basic Greek pillars: Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. We don't know which one it is, right? We haven't had a name of a character, a proper noun, since the first paragraph. How you dress, Jasmine. But here we have Garden of Eden, Eve, Eve. These are the space is being used here. The prepositions being used here, the proper nouns being used here are all communicating importance. Behemoth serpent versus hiss of a snake. Behemoth is a bigger word, right? Elevated language. Serpent, longer word for it. Again, using space to communicate importance. Want to keep going with this, or
I think it's almost time for bed for me.
Yep, that makes sense. I had to nap for about an hour and a half to be able to do this.
Yeah. So
that was fun.
Yeah.
Reading pages without knowing them is a fun.
Sorry, I couldn't hide it from you. Maybe next time I'll copy paste or something.
It's branding, lady. Whatever. But even with knowing that's branding, I mean, the artistry doesn't diminish.
No.
I mean, people, again, the bad self-pub stuff isn't worked adequately. It's not that self-pub is worse. It's easier to be bad there.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to pay for paper, essentially. But
also a lot of it is done in a different style than what traditional publishers are looking for now. And, if you're looking for a voice that isn't necessarily what's trendy right now, then indie might be the way for you, even if you are writing something that's totally popular, because, there's clearly a market for, stuff that sounds like it was written in the 50s. And there's stuff that sounds like it was written in 2030. So I'm excited to see what the future brings us. But, I'm enjoying what's coming out right now.
Yeah, like I said, I'm in 2 groups for smut writers and readers. And I read pages that you're not going to see in a traditional bookstore. Barnes & Noble isn't going to carry, the 7 knives of, Helen or whatever.
No.
where she uses
But
them for
as we
various purposes.
saw with 50 Shades of Grey, it's a clearly very underserved market by traditional publishing that, has tons of people who are ready to read it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For the people who didn't see, one of our group members posted the first, maybe the second page or so of 50 Shades of Grey in the group. And I looked at it critically for language use.
Yeah.
And people mock it because it's silly or whatever. But the mechanics of it are very clear in that we have someone doing stuff, but lacking agency in the mechanics of it. She doesn't begin sentences, which is a big, big tell. She feels, she walks into a building and is already scared. The building itself, we had a lack of a use of color until you get to the building, and a lack of use of dark color until you get to the charcoal black blazer. These are all someone using tools to drive meaning. And that happens in self-pub as easily as in trad-pub. The difference for the stuff that works in both those things, the difference is the choice, honestly, to sell it online versus in a store. Self-pub moves much faster.
Yeah.
You can have people releasing a book a month in self-pub. That's the market.
Yeah.
And it's not a lack of quality. It's that person, that's all they do.
Yeah.
Is they work constantly on this stuff. And they release a $2 title a month and they have massive sales.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't get a deal with Tor or whatever. It's that this is their money-making thing. There are people who are self-pubbed and trad-pubbed. They have agents, they do self-pub stuff because the money's much faster. In trad-pub, you wait.
Yeah.
And you are at the mercy of a marketing department. Whereas in self-pub, if you have a team for that, right?
Yeah.
That's the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not better or worse, it's just different. And again, there's stuff you can sell in trad-pub that you did. There's stuff you can do in self-pub you can't do in trad-pub. Because it's
so true.
Other people control it. So
Kelly bounced in to say he was working on his nano project and appreciated the company and the writerly musings.
Kelly pops into your Sunday I think I've seen him there every time.
Yeah.
I don't every time. No. On Sunday it went from being 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock, like 4 seconds for me.
That happens. Yeah. But Nano is almost done. I'm pushing 49,000. I'll be.
Oh, you're just gonna need to sit there and describe a door, lady, and that'll be
right. But I'm also going for the 1667 words per day badge because I've done it the first 27. So I've got to fill in. Plus, it's not going to be done at 50,000 words because that's not a.
Well, you write fantasy anyway, so you're a third of the way done.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, my plot's kind of, hey, now I know what happened. Now I have to go back in and
I have to
verify a little.
Exactly. Yeah. I finished by editing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I cheated, but I knew I wasn't going to get 50,000. I have 3 kids, and anything else to do. So I have. I had a story that was pretty good until I realized it was broken in 2 places.
Oh, dear.
That means half of it. Well, see, I have people from a presidential campaign who are out 3 days before election day.
Oh my goodness.
They're number one, they're gonna see yard signs. Okay.
Right.
Number 2, people are gonna have seen them on TV.
Yeah.
And that's part of the world building of it, but I don't have it in there, so I have to put it in there.
Right.
And then I have a relationship thing that has to change because I realized, no, actually, this person who was divorced by somebody is not going to want him back instantly. And is not even going to want to talk to him. She's going to talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's all, but that's okay because you don't, no matter how much you outline, you don't know what actually happens until you actually do the thing. And then oh, no, actually, that's fine. Right.
Yeah.
You can't see it all from,
I think I'm actually struggling with outlining too much because then I end up writing the scenes and the transitions are clunky and not natural. And then I have to go back in and fix that. But I don't know. Well, we'll see. I think I knew a lot more about the characters than I did the plot and the magic this time. So, different stories, you know, have different starting points for inspiration for me.
Yeah, when I don't know the character, the worst thing I do is outline, because I have this, oh, wouldn't it be funny if this thing happened? The character's like, that's not going to happen. No, I can't even, sometimes what I do is I'll cheat by having it happen, and then what do I have to do to you to get you to do this thing?
Hey.
Like,
no,
which is fun when it works, but it's just not. I mean, I have this, I've tried to put Brianna in this special government thing like many times.
Sure.
And that's just not a character at all. She doesn't, her people would have to take it over to get, which is fun, but she's just not, she doesn't trust.
Yeah. So unless she thinks she can get something out of it that she needs.
I finally figured out how to get her to do it, is to be like, hey, you can do this thing as part of this other thing. And also your wife will be happy. Oh, you went there. Oh, good. Because her wife is that sort of magical escape valve you can have in a plot where if you need it to happen, you can do this. Trouble with that is you can't use it that much because it becomes boring in terms of motivation, because, okay, you did it once.
Yeah.
I sat with it. I endured it. It was okay. But again, you're lazy. You need to find something else, or you need to, be realistic, which is boring, but
yeah. You just gotta follow the motivation.
Yep.
Which is why space matters.
Yeah. And why narrative consistency matters. We can't have someone beginning this book with a ton of anxiety and then, it disappears. Number one, that's boring. Number two, if you're trying to write a character with anxiety, disappearing isn't a thing, so it's unrealistic.
Unless maybe they're having a manic episode.
But then it had to reappear. Or something you continue in a way that is authentic to that experience, right? You can have someone be rushing, and then just, like that. Like from running, whatever.
Yeah.
But there has to be an in-world reason for it to happen, right?
Yeah. I see Kelly in the comments said that that's why he aims for 75K. Yeah.
For fancy,
if you're trying to get the full manuscript done, I did a nano and a half 1 year. It worked best because it was a sequel and I knew where I was going with it. So I knew the world and the characters, but it only worked for me once. So
I got to 15. I'm like, nope.
If you've got the time for it.
One thing about Nano, your first draft, you really worked hard on it. Do not query it. It's not. It's a vomit pile. I mean, it's word vomiting. It's large expanses of no.
Yeah. Kelly's been at this for a while, but yeah.
Well, people might see this who don't know this.
Yes.
But like the process of writing for anybody, the best people in the world who do this, they give their stuff space to become not familiar to them, because what you think you wrote and what you actually wrote are unrelated phenomena.
Yeah. And when it's so fresh in your mind, you know what it was meant to say and convey.
And you think it said that.
And that's so much in your head that you can't see what isn't actually on the page.
And if you cannot separate yourself chronistically, if you can't take a day or two or a month and just let it be, read it aloud.
Yeah.
The process of changing how you experience the book will change how you experience the world. Oh God, I wrote this. I thought this.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're bad.
No.
It's that the process is what it is.
Yeah.
You think it's good because you did it, right? Because you're on your fourth.
Or you think it's crap because you did it. But when you go back, there's going to be something you can use in there.
Yeah. And again, listening to his thing, experiencing it, inputting it different ways, right?
Yeah.
Having it read to you.
Different fonts. I like to. I've enjoyed having like the read aloud function in like different accents read to me, because
I can do that.
bad words where you use the wrong word or the wrong tense or something really sticks out more to me in a different accent.
Yeah, the key is to, like, people, you have to get over the sense that you might have that you are alone in the world in not needing to. I used to be, okay, so true story. I have turned in first drafts of things and got the A's on them because I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
But the process professionally is not that. Okay. And that's fine. It doesn't make you weak. Okay. When Da Vinci painted a lot of, iconic stuff, he used layers of paint. He didn't go one layer. Okay. He used, one of his techniques was to put on molecules of color so thin that it was a new technique, right? Creation is that same way. The point of any one draft isn't for it to be that good. It's for it to exist. And once it exists, you can work with it.
Yeah.
The point of a prototype, there isn't a single car that has come out, a phone that has come out, that has been ready for the first go. It can't. That isn't the creation process. There's a story. Steve Jobs gave his design team 8 months to make the first iPhone because he wanted it to be that simple. He knew if he gave them 2 years, they had to come out with some massive thing. He didn't want a massive thing. He wanted a simple thing that had a couple key functions, a flashlight, an alarm, stuff like that, right? He knew the more time he gave it, so he made them focus. What do we actually have to have?
On the flip side, there are. Sorry, I'm sorry. I was thinking of. Finish your thought.
So they had to get a couple things, a minimum viable product, and refine. That's your book. Your first draft isn't amazing, shouldn't be amazing. All it has to do is exist. It is the baby that has just been delivered. In breathing, it wins. All it has to do is breathe, right? Then people come in and clean it up and give it gendered clothing, right? And you have the picture of, look at me pretending I'm not bleeding everywhere else, right? That's the editing process. And anybody who tells you, oh, I draft perfectly, no, that's a lie and a half, is either they're lying or their writing is terrible.
Or there are some writers who think that their draft just needs a little copy editing and is good to go. And I think they really need to raise their standards, that if that's what they can draft, then clearly they are not aiming for how much they can polish it.
Yeah.
Think about how much more and how much more evocative and how much more they could convey and how much better their writer could be if they worked at it. If you're already at this level, why aren't you pushing yourself to the next level and the next level?
Yeah, because
as a writer, I always want to do better. I want to, a lot of times I come back to my drafts and I'm like, oh, hey, that's not half bad. I thought it was a hot mess. But that doesn't mean I don't want it to make it better. And I am always trying to improve my writing and do better and use more verbs.
My favorite word. I was gonna say something. My great weakness is I don't like reading. And in my defense, I can't. I fix writing for a living. Like that's 8 hours a day of just taking things and improving them. So when I see something printed, I can't fix it, right? But in reading, what I tell people to do is look at what's selling and write like that. I don't mean copy. I mean understand the concept people are using and do your own. Because if you're in a room of, let's give an example. Okay, we had a guy in here a couple months ago who said he was appeal to fans of Tolkien. The worst possible thing you can do in Treadpub is go back 50 years. Okay, think of it like this. Okay, let's imagine a car that has no air conditioning. If you are a new car maker and you don't have air conditioning, the list of places you can sell that car is Alaska. That's an incredibly limited market, right? You need to look at what cars have now and do that, okay? Because you need to have adaptive cruise control. You need to have drink cup holders. You need to have seatbelts. You need to have internet connectivity and screens in a lot of cases, for minivans especially. What people are doing now, right? Now, people are doing 50, 60 years ago is what you need to be focused on. And agents can tell when you haven't read anything published since you were born.
Yeah, or you haven't read anything since you were a kid and you read off of your parents' shelves. And you know, if that's the target audience you're going for, maybe indies for you, because traditional publishing is pushing forward and pacing is different and everything else. And that, but if you're using Tolkien to mean epic fantasy, then you need to read or at least get more recent comps. Because I mean, it's a genre. Basically you're saying it appeals to fans of my genre, which is probably shows that you don't know the market. And that's what your comps are intended to do in your query letter, is to show that you know the market, you know who is going to be buying your book, who you're trying to sell your book to. And you know, people buying stuff from 50 years ago aren't necessarily your target audience.
People who are buying today. And also people who are buying Tolkien aren't buying it because they're buying it because it's Tolkien, right?
Right.
People are, people do still give, box sets of the Lewis books, right?
Yes.
But those books are selling based on people's parents and grandparents liking those. You are not competing with C.S. Lewis in any sense. You're not competing with Tolkien. You're competing with people who are recent purchases for libraries and bookstores.
Yeah.
So if you want to write like Tolkien, find a way to do it that meshes with what's selling, because the business side of the business for self-pub and trad-pub, if you want to make money, it's what people are doing now.
Yeah.
We could actually next time probably compare older stuff to newer stuff. That'd be fun. I haven't read Tolkien because what I've heard, I haven't done it at all. He takes forever to do anything.
I have a confession to make. I think we all know that I'm pretty broadly read and sci-fi fantasy is my jam.
Yes.
I tried to read Tolkien once when I was 12 and I got halfway through the second book and never picked it up again. I've read The Hobbit and I have the graphic novel version of it that my dad gave me when I was like 6. And obviously I have the the Rankin.
Can you pull up Lord of the Rings right now, or some Tolkien thing, just right quick, or not?
It's after midnight. Let's do it next time.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Cool.
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for cheering us on, and thank you for supporting abortion and reproductive rights. I said abortion first this time.
Yay! I was all ready to do my thing because it's whatever.
So I hope you enjoyed.
Now, Morgan. You escalated.
Right. Enjoy our verbs and come back next time and keep supporting the cause, because women's choices should be their own and not mandated by politicians.
Doctor, patient. Notice no third finger for a cop.
Well, I got a third finger.
Oh, yes, I know which one that's gonna
read between the lines.
Yeah.
So.
Which finger is escalating the most?
Yeah. Right. So
all right.
And we love people sharing their stories with us. There's so many books I'm gonna have to read, but my to-read pile is 5 years deep right now. So
wow, I could take some of it and not read it and just take it. Because I have to read the first page and that's about it. Yeah. Mechanically, okay. Next.
Yeah. So we'll be back in 2 Mondays after I have recovered from my NaNoWriMo hangover and finished my box of truffles that have been sugar boosting me through the month.
You're on drugs. That's a healthy drug thing.
So, okay. Thank you and bye.